What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, a lot of people don't necessarily understand the sport of boxing. They might understand boxing a little bit, but they don't understand the inner workings of boxing. And there's a lot to learn, and I'm not saying I know everything, but one thing that gets thrown around often is boxing is a business, nowadays especially. And it's especially that. It's so much of a business that moves are made, fans are often brainwashed and tricked into thinking something that might not even be the case. It might be there's an ulterior motive behind that. Fans get caught in this like whirlwind of politics, ego, business, and all kinds of stuff like that. So I want to spend some time talking about boxing as a business just because there's a lot of issues in boxing, in the boxing community right now, that are going on, and they're all business related. Easy one is Pacquiao versus Mayweather. Both guys, both parties, I can honestly say both parties bring up the other person's name because it gets them circulating and their names popular in the media. If Mayweather says anything about Pacquiao, it'll have viral views if it's obviously a credible source or whatever. Um, Same thing with Pacquiao. Pacquiao says he wants to fight Mayweather for charity. Even if he has absolutely no intention of doing this, I doubt he would fight for free, just for the fans' sake, especially with tax problems. But even if he wants to, or whatever the case is, just by bringing up Mayweather, it's guaranteed viral. People are gonna eat it up. Fans get involved, and then it starts circulating the Mayweather Pacquiao fights and the talks of who would win and all that. Now we're also seeing the networks actually push for future fights. It's like they're trying to get a pulse and a feel for what people think of these fights through the media. They're talking about, if you watch the fight with Mikey Garcia and Juan Carlos Burgos, a guy who is at his second fight at 130, they're already talking about seeing Mikey Garcia move up even further and pretty much rush his career to make a payday with Pacquiao. Obviously, Mikey Garcia is a blossoming star. He looks good skill wise, technically sound, patient. He's a good fighter, and his fan base is growing. But I think it's stupid for them to rush his career in order to make a Pacquiao fight. And we know Pacquiao's running out of opponents, so let's say Pacquiao handily beats Timothy Bradley. This might be an option that they look at. And I think it's stupid. Not that I don't have faith in Mikey Garcia or faith in Pacquiao can make a good fight, but I don't condone a young fighter. I condone risks, but I don't think it's necessary for anyone to get rushed throughout their career just for the sake of fighter A losing opponents or running out of opponents. I just don't think that's the necessary course. If it makes sense, like Adrian Broner versus Paulie Malignaggi, he had a chance to grab a title, and I thought he would go back down, but you've seen what happened. His first title defense, he lost. So I would hate to see a young fighter take any kind of loss based on their career being rushed. Let them acclimate. I mean, for God's sake, Mikey Garcia in the second round, I think of his last two fights, was knocked down or nearly knocked down. In the fight with Rocky Martinez, who isn't even a huge puncher, he was able to catch Mikey Garcia and knock him down in the second round, I think it was. Same thing with Juan Carlos Burgos. He didn't actually knock him down, but he was seconds away from being knocked down, came very extremely close. So even with that in mind, you want him to move up even further to face a southpaw power puncher with the speed like Pacquiao. I just don't think it makes sense. Let him get the experience under his belt with other notable opponents and then talk about that. Another instance where boxing is a business, Miguel Cotto and Sergio Martinez. Now, this is a fight that I have not heard one person complain about, really. Anybody who's notable. I haven't heard anyone complain like this is a shit fight. I think it's a good fight. Sergio Martinez isn't a huge middleweight. Cotto has a chance to set history and be the first Puerto Rican to win in 4 different weight divisions. Cotto's a fan favorite. A lot of people like Sergio Martinez. He has a cult following, I guess you could say, kind of like a Lucas Matisse. He's tough. He has knockout power. He has lateral movement. He's used to fighting bigger guys, so people want to see it. Cotto, he's going to sell out Madison Square Garden. Huge following. They showed that in the Delvin Rodriguez comeback fight. That was Cotto after 2 losses, still a sellout, still over 1.2 million views in terms of ratings. So, and that was against Delvin Rodriguez, who really doesn't have much star power, and people still turned out for Cotto. So I think it's an exceptional fight, and this is a fight that we might not get, or we're on the cusp of not getting, based on the fucking order of their names. Like, if you watch boxing and it says Pound, Pascal, Butte, one of the arguments, one of the hangups from what I'm hearing was never weight. Weight was never an issue of what weight they would fight at. But the sequence of their names, should it say Martinez Cotto or should it say Cotto Martinez? Now, that's a silly ass reason to not have a fight, all based on business, all based on ego. Cotto feels he's the bigger draw and he's the bigger star. He has longevity in the sport. Sergio Martinez is like, I'm the lineal champion and I refuse to be disrespected by someone who's coming up to my division to fight for my titles. So he wants his name first. And again, this is boxing business. This is the politics. This is some of the things that need to be hashed out, which is pretty fucking trivial if you think about it. Like, we may not get to see Mayweather versus Pacquiao all from a blood test. We may not have seen Cotto versus Martinez based on the order of their fucking names. I don't give a fuck. Take both their names off. I don't care. I just want to see the fight. I don't care whose name is on there. It could have their middle name. It don't matter to me. I just want to see the fight as a whole. Another one I'm hoping doesn't happen. Well, when I say doesn't happen, I mean it's not prevented from happening based on politics. Garcia versus Gamboa. Now, this is more reasonable to me than Pacquiao Garcia at the moment, because Garcia is fighting at 130. Gamboa last fought at 135. So that's closer in weight. They've had a war of words on Twitter. Gamboa came into the ring after the Burgos win for Mikey Garcia. This fight needs to happen. So hopefully they can iron everything out, get the bugs out, and make this fight happen. And another instance is Chavez Jr. is now rated at 168. Like, why the fuck is he rated with the WBC at 168 when he hasn't truly fought at 168? And if you count the fight with Brian Vera, he looked fucking terrible in it. And he was trying to play a counterpuncher like Marquez or something. So either way, how does that equate to him being ranked at 168? It's like they're trying to force it down your throat. Obviously, they're trying to make a big fight with Carl Froch, Andre Ward. So what better way to do that than to lie to the public and act like this guy is rated the top 168 dude, which is utter bullshit. Kind of like what they did with Amir Khan. Amir Khan's rated at welterweight even though he never fucking fought at welterweight. So the WBC is pretty ridiculous. Jose Suleiman recently died. Rest in peace to him. But, I mean, I don't understand where they're coming up with this. So another example of how boxing is a business. Chavez Jr., he has his father's namesake. And there's big fights out there based on that. Based on his popularity, his father's popularity. And they want to make a Carl Froch, Andre Ward fight if he can get past Vera in the second fight. So all of a sudden they're planting the seeds early. That's what it seems like. And they're having him ranked at 168, which is retarded. You know what I mean? Deontay Wilder needs to be rated at featherweight, just because even though he hasn't never fought at featherweight, and when he was born he probably weighed more than the featherweight, but put him there just because obviously you have the power to do that. So if we're just mixing it up, playing musical divisions, then why don't we just put Deontay Wilder at featherweight? Anyway, another example of how boxing is a business, and the last one would be Pacquiao versus Bradley 2. Now, after the initial fight, Pacquiao lost to Bradley. Bradley took his belt, and Team Pacquiao was saying a fight with Bradley doesn't make sense. The world already knows Pacquiao won, and a belt doesn't define him. The public knows who should have won. And they also said Bradley couldn't draw flies to shit. And we're basically belittling or downplaying Bradley, saying he's not a feasible opponent. Now, fast forward to the future, Mike Alvarado got his block knocked off by Ruslan Provodnikov. Brandon Rios already got beat by Pacquiao. Pacquiao's wearing thin with options. Jesse Vargas doesn't make any fucking sense at all. Hasn't even fought, been pretty inactive since I think he fought, Lucky Boy or whatever. And that was a tough fight for him. So a fight with Pacquiao, he'll get destroyed. Makes no sense. Marquez is really staying true to, I don't want the Pacquiao 5 fight. So they ran out of fucking options. You could pull someone up a million weight divisions up to fight Pacquiao, or cross over the pond and fight with a Golden Boy fighter, which you know they don't want to do that at the moment, neither company. Or you could have a rematch and entertain it. Now they're trying to sell the rematch with Bradley, like, oh, this is a good fight and set the record straight. Why weren't you saying that when Pacquiao had more options, before Brandon Rios lost to Pacquiao, before Mike Alvarado lost to Ruslan? It's because you know your fucking cash cow is running out of options without intertwining Golden Boy fighters, because everyone's either been beaten, taken a loss, retired, doesn't make sense, or some reason or another. Pacquiao can't fight those people because it doesn't make sense. It's not a smart business move. Plus, Pacquiao Rios did horrific numbers, 400 to 500,000, and that was supposed to be a big mega fight with a promotional tour that was months ahead of the fight. They planned and they planned. So I know they took a loss on that, because I seen pictures of Yao Ming and all kinds of stuff promoting the fight, and Rios and Pac were at the Great Wall of China. And since that fight tanked, now all of a sudden Bradley's a feasible option. This is the option that makes the most sense. But hey, you know what? I'm not upset, because it is a good fight, and I think Bradley has deserved the fight. But it just shows you that this is how the business reacts when it makes business sense to fight. They didn't want to fight. They're like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. We don't want to, because Pac had options. Now he doesn't have options. Now they're trying to sell you on the fight that they were talking shit about right after Bradley beat Pacquiao. So it doesn't make sense to me. Like I said, if Bradley was such a great opponent and this was such a good fight and a good rematch, why were you initially saying something different to the public? And if anyone wants to challenge me on it, I will put up the video where they were saying this, where they were slandering Bradley and a rematch with Bradley, and show you guys. So I'm glad the fight's happening. Just wanted to let you guys know that there is politics, there is a business side to it, and that's often what happens. Oftentimes these networks, these promotional companies, they have agendas, and when the agenda suits them, then they'll make the fight happen. Because, like I said, in the most recent example, Pacquiao's running out of options. They don't really have many choices. So Cotto's moving up, possibly facing Sergio Martinez, so that's not a rematch. Plus, they're both trained by Freddie Roach. Who can Pacquiao fight without crossing over to Golden Boy? Jesse Vargas, Randall Bailey, I think. Or not even Randall Bailey, Mike Jones. I don't know. He just doesn't have options. I'm done. Let me know what you guys think. As always, hey, comment or subscribe. Till next video. See you go signing off.